day unlike any other day.
March 1990. A black and white photograph shows a woman holding a sign that reads, "Everybody needs equal access."
There was a call for a march from the White House to the Capitol. It was over 4,000 people, the majority of people in wheelchairs. And we were all the way down Pennsylvania Avenue. I was near the front, so looking back, it was amazing.
So powerful and such a beautiful story that needed to be told. I did not know personally about the Capitol Crawl. I didn't know about the story of the Americans with Disabilities Act and kind of just like what it took to get it there. I thought it was very beautiful, and I thought it was um, an important thing to hear of those who have to constantly persevere against a world, against a society, against a government that does not want to help them be and feel included. So, having to go out of their way, which is it's always the oppressed people, of course, having to go out of their way to have others see them as individuals who deserve basic human rights is just it's always beyond me, but it's beautiful when people are able to bind together and for a common cause. I like how there was different types of people who were affected and different types of disabilities that are represented in this piece. I thought that was great. I love the emphasis on the fact that there are overt and covert disabilities. And there was something that I think it was Ali Stroker said at the end that was very powerful. And I think it was having the same disability as someone else doesn't mean you have the same needs. And I feel like that's not something that's addressed too much because, regardless of whether or not someone else shares the same type of disability as you, it really does not mean that they need the same type of aid, same type of help, same type of needs as someone else, just as it would for someone who doesn't have a disability. So I thought that was really interesting and a very great perspective to be put out there because I don't think people think about that too much. Um, I just really like this piece. I think it was shot beautifully. I loved the interviews. I loved the different perspectives. I loved the candid conversation because a lot of people don't hear that. Basically, how they were saying about if it doesn't affect anyone you know, you're less likely to really be involved in it. And it shouldn't have to take you knowing someone or having a family member who it affects directly or it affecting you directly for you to want to care about the cause.
And I love the opening, the VO, and the setup of the docket as a whole. The timeline definitely served as an indicator. It featured video of historical footage from these protests and all of that, which really aided to putting us in the space of where the timeline was telling us to be. The sound design, utilizing sound bites from various speeches, just gives us a sense of the social climate around everything. The legislation meant to stop disabled people from experiencing discrimination was the focus of the whole entire documentary. It was interesting to see that there are more instances where the Capitol was occupied that I was not aware of. So many interesting aspects from the various point of views. One that stuck out was the theaters not being ADA compliant for the performers, even though they are for the people going to see the show. And then a lot of the speak about getting in the workforce and the discrimination that takes place when trying to apply for a job was just something that I think I knew about, but didn't have such a clear view on as I do now after listening to this documentary.
This was incredibly informative, and I think it sheds light on something that isn't talked about in the inclusion of people with disabilities and the work that has been done throughout the years to get where we are now in America. And it's still not perfect. But to just see in comparison the way things were, I think this was incredibly informative. There's a lot of heart to it, and it has a really great message throughout. This was just a very, very great piece.
I think they did some beautiful cinematography, and I think the filmmakers really shone a light on what was happening with the segregation and the discrimination against people with disabilities in this country before the law was passed and ADA was there. It's so important that every public place is handicap accessible. And I know that we didn't back then have a lot of that. And that's horrific to think about now. And I think that the filmmakers did a great job with their interviews. I really enjoyed listening to all of the interviews. Sometimes it was really hard to listen to some of the struggles that they faced. It was a bit heartbreaking, but I really think that them documenting what happened to get them to pass that law and what everybody did was incredibly brave. It was very emotional, very, very powerful. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this film.
An eye-opening documentary piece showcasing the struggles and the hard journeys that certain people have gone through over the years to feel included. This was such a great way in showing the viewers their side of it, by allowing us into their personal lives and allowing us to get a better understanding of how they felt about these situations and hardships that they were put through over these several years, only because they were considered different. I love how the story sort of forces the narrative that we are all one, and that no matter where or how we are raised, we all deserve to be included, no matter where and what